What's up, everyone, and welcome to ClearTalk. So, in this video, we're going to be talking about, we're pretty much going to be talking about how the Palestinian people and their ability to uh, gain any kind of, you know, self determination or their own state or anything like that is basically they're screwed. And they're uh, with the Trump administration that's coming in and the people that he has so far appointed for these positions, if they do get those positions, uh, basically the Christian, Zionist and Jewish Zionists have pretty much are taking over, and Palestinians are screwed. Yeah. So, anyways, we're going to talk about this and uh, discuss the people that are being put in place, discuss what's going on right now, what and how all of this is very much probably going to shape up uh, for the future of Palestine, of the Palestinian people. So, if you like what we're talking about here, thank you for being here. Thank you for watching. Check out my other channels and stuff. JMDPLAY, JM Drummer. Check out the Discord if you'd like. You have donations there, or you can go up to JMD Nation Patreon, $3 a month there. Any kind of support you give is much appreciated. So thank you very much. But yeah, so let's get on to talking about this. So, as we know, we previously had. Okay, we're gonna go back. A month ago, we had talking about the current administration first before we even get into what's to come. The current administration, we know this whole entire time, over a year, has completely allowed for Israel to do whatever the hell it wanted. It is not really, it's talked about red lines. It's talked about things that they weren't going to allow. It's talked about, pointing and wagging their fingers and like, oh, you need to do, your genocide a little bit better. Don't make it look so bad. And we had just a month ago, before the elections, a letter got out, talking about how, the United States was basically giving a layout for Israel that they would not, that they had 30 days to, try to get humanitarian aid numbers and stuff up to a certain spec, which they laid out. Our current administration laid out of like 350 trucks a day is what they were asking for. And, if they saw that they were, working to, or at least, that they had 30 days to get to that, to work towards that, or they would consider, that's the issue, consider sort of, backing out of weapons and stuff like that were being sent, the aid and stuff being sent to Israel to help them continue, what they've been doing. And what we've seen in the end of that was like this past, I want to say Tuesday, or Wednesday or something like that. Was the last day, was the 30-day mark. And so we had a lot of, the press and stuff that, pushing them on these, on this letter and on these, suggestions, apparently, is what it come down to, for the Israel to abide to continue getting our aid, to continue getting our support. And our government pretty much just said, well, I mean, yeah, we asked them to do this. And, well, you see, what happened was they, kind of like, so they did some stuff, and like, uh, we see that it's like, yeah, it didn't hit that number, but like, we think they've got good intentions, and like they plan to, eventually at some point in the future get to that number. So like we think we should still like, support Israel, go Israel. And we were going to continue like, giving them those weapons. So yeah, things are going to continue, this is going to change, I mean, it shouldn't, right? They got to defend, themselves. So yeah, basically we've some completely backed out of that, which, you know, this is after the election. You've lost the election. The Biden administration, the Democrats have completely lost them. We questioned when it come out, were they really going to hold up to this? Was this something that they were really considering, or was it just a campaign, talking point, something that they were trying to throw out to maybe, hopefully, this would help bring in the votes needed. Hey, they're, to make them look like they actually are concerned about shit, over a year later. And so that they could get those votes, those votes that were questioning their intents, or questioning their morality in this whole thing. Well, and since they lost, I mean, they have nothing to lose. You're a completely dead administration now. You could do whatever the hell you want to at this point. You really, I mean, you could completely, go in a whole different direction if you'd like. But the fact that they've continuing to just go along with this and nothing is changing and everything just pretty much shows that this is sincerely a ideological thing when it comes to Biden and the administration. They are solely in support of Israel no matter what the fuck they do. And they're not going to back down. They don't care. They apparently see, an aim for something. So that it truly shows that they 100% have been okay with everything that's went on over the past year. And they have no interest in trying to hold Israel back. They are allowing and supporting a slow moving genocide, basically, of the Palestinian people. And they're okay with it. They've proved it now. 100%. They had no interest in doing any kind of like red lines, or no interest in trying to really hold Israel back. They just want to continue to play this off as, well, they really are trying and they're doing the best they can and blah blah blah. And it's completely disrespectful to the American people. It's completely disrespectful to the intelligence, undermining the intelligence of the American people. That it's apparent that they think, along with Israel, not even the American people, the whole fucking world. Apparently, they think the entire fucking world are idiots. Apparently, they think, it seems that they think we still live in some fucking stone age where we don't have access to information, don't have access to social media, don't have access to videos upon videos upon videos upon fucking videos. Not only from sources that show what's going on in Gaza, sources that are what's going on in the West Bank, what's going on in Lebanon, and all that, but also sources of the from the perspective of the other side, but also videos from actual fucking Israel, the IDF, that are all over the place, showing they're just pure, like, insanity in how they are performing and how they think uh, about what the actions that they are doing, making complete fun of it, of committing these war crimes, and they don't care. I mean, now yes, we've had reporting of some IDF soldiers that have found it to be have noticed and found what they were doing was wrong, and have given reports also about stuff going on because they want it to get out. They want it to be heard and seen because they don't completely agree with it. And some of them have even kind of found their way out, but there's a lot of them that are there and they're doing it because they do not care. They really do truly want to see these people suffer, because they don't see any difference in any of them. They don't see civilians. They see full on just terrorists or animals. They don't even consider them human in a lot of cases. And so they don't think what they're doing is wrong. Period. So that's what's been going on. That's what's happening currently. That's what's while Israel continues to not give aid to the north at all. They're continuing a complete shut off of aid to the north of Gaza. They're trickling in aid in the South Gaza. I mean, the reports were they were given roughly about 40 trucks a day or so over the past month. That's it. I guess that is in the U.S.'s mind. Oh, but that's that's just something. It's not nothing. While the North is not getting anything, they're starving, and which is the intent from Israel. They've stated that they were planning to not allow stuff in there because they want to starve Hamas. That's the idea. They want to starve out Hamas of the North so that they can get rid of them, whether they come out of the, come out into the open for them to kill, or they die from starvation, or whatever the case. I don't know what, I mean, I guess that's the idea. But at the same time, and they don't consider, and anybody who stayed in the North, they don't consider them human. They consider them a part of IDF. I mean, sorry, a part of Hamas. So they don't care if they starve. Even if they are civilians, even if they are women, children, people, completely innocent, they don't care. They consider them a part of it. And then the rest, they have forcefully and urge them to move out. So you've got, you had a whole lot of people actually did leave and go south. Although then, just as they, previously had done, there were, actions taken on some of the people that were making their way down, whether it was, gunfire shots and snipers and things like that. I mean, this stuff has continuously happened over the past year. You've constantly had, we've seen the reports, we've seen the footage, we've seen the x-rays of children with, slugs in their head, slugs in their chest, where they've been shot by IDF soldiers. I mean, children. So they don't care. They've been doing this all along. Let's not pretend like this is some, moral group of people here. They don't care. They don't care what age they are. They don't care anything. This is what they've been doing. So they continue to do that. There's already you've got people outside of it ready to go into North Gaza to, planning on it being annexed, planning on doing settlements and taking back North Gaza and everything. All these Israeli people, whatever. And just like they've done in the West Bank, you've already got talks and stuff coming up about completely, now that the Trump's administration going to take over, and that's been in the works. The West Bank being annexed, which it's going to get bad for these people, because you have people from the Trump world that are coming in, the appointees that he wants. Now, granted, all of these appointees on the list have to be approved by Congress. And while Mitch McConnell made an attempt to try to put someone in place that would somewhat maybe restrict some of the appointees and prevent Trump from just getting anybody he wanted in there. I mean, it's still being left up to, because it come, they had last week they had a kind of an emergency early vote on who was to take over the Senate, take his position. Since he was the majority leader for Republicans in the Senate, who was to take over that, or he was minority leader. Now they've got a majority, so they went ahead and did a vote because he's stepping down, and you had 3 people that were up for it, and his particular one actually wound up winning. I think his name's Booth or something like that. Now he is a soul. He is a hardcore McConnell follower and supporter, but at the same time, he has at moments placated to the fact that he is okay with certain things in the Trump agenda. So it's not completely sure whether or not he truly will have any fight back or have any pushback on some of these appointees or not in the Senate, or whether he truly will just completely go through with all of them. Now, what you also have is Trump trying to do what's called a anyway, it's basically where the Senate a recessed appointment, I think is what it is. Where you basically, what happens back in the old time, like earlier years of the country, Congress would only come in certain parts of the year because they lived so far away, horse buggy, all that kind of shit. So you would have periods of time where Congress was not there in Washington, and they would, within those times, if it was over a certain amount of days that they were going to be absent, then if the president or whatever wanted to appoint a position, then they could do a resigned kind of position hold. So they would put somebody in place, and the president could appoint somebody in a particular position without congressional approval, because the Congress was basically, they were not there. So, and they weren't going to be back to make any kind of approvals or laws or whatever it is, but it's at a certain point. So, and not only though could they put them in place for that amount of, they could put them in place, and that placement could hold for up to 2 years, which is crazy to me. I mean, I could understand that they could put them in place and they could be in that place until Congress came in, and then Congress do an approval on that position, on that person, and decide whether or not they're okay or not. So, it'd be like a temporary status that could be put in place. But no, this is a status that can be put in place, and they could hold up to, for 2 years. It's basically been an appointment without congressional approval, and nothing can be really done about it. So Trump is asked and is pressuring the Republican majority leader to do this, to allow for this, so that he can put people in place without congressional approval. Now, this is not, something new. You've had other presidents do this as well for certain things. I think even Obama attempted it for to put somebody in place for something. I don't know what, although it did not get approved. He asked for it, but it all comes up to the the person in place to whether or not they will allow for that to be, you know, done or not. So it's up in the air whether or not this Booth guy or whatever the hell his name is will actually allow for Trump's, for that to happen, or if they will just, or whether they will pressure to have the congressional approval of this list of appointees and who on the list they will allow and who they won't allow. Now, history has shown that they're not really ever that hardcore on it. They usually allow most appointees in. There's been very few occasions where they did not accept somebody, but also we are in a time where you have some of the most extreme people trying to have positions in an administration. And so, I mean, I hope that there is some kind of pushback, honestly, especially on some of these. But we have, for starters, you have, as far as in this subject that we're talking about, when it comes to Israel, when it comes to the Middle East and everything, you have Secretary of State Marco Rubio. He's a hardcore pro-Israel person. He tends to have more of other parts of the world. He tends to have a little bit more less, like minimal interventionism or whatever. He's when it comes to a lot of other parts of the world. When it comes to Israel, though, he's pretty hardcore and he's pretty pro-Israel and is basically okay with anything Israel does. And then you have the UN ambassador, Elise Stefanik, who is completely pro-Israel, hardcore, and so she will be a representative at the UN, completely in support of anything Israel does. Then you have Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth. Now, this is the guy from Fox and Friends, who, yes, he served in the military, but he doesn't have any like major. He's not some type of major upper like defense intelligence like understanding or education or anything like that. I mean, he did his serving, in the military, but like I said, he doesn't have any kind of upper level education or understanding when it comes to, the military or our defense and everything else. But he is the one being appointed to head up our whole our whole defense, the Pentagon. So that's wild. But on top of that, he is a major Christian Zionist. He has shown on his social medias and stuff, tattoos and things that he has acquired since like 2016 when Trump originally took over, that have a lot of connections to more Nazi-like stuff and Christian extremism or whatever, and completely pro-Israel. He is, like I said, in the realm of Christian Zionism and stuff. If you don't understand what that is, and along with the U.S. ambassador to Israel, who is Trump wants Mike Huckabee from Arkansas to be another extreme Christian national, Christian national and Christian Zionist. And these are people who believe in the whole holy war biblical aspect when it comes to Israel from a Christian perspective, which is very interesting in regards to Jewish Zionism. It's actually almost a weird coupling there, because the intent for Christian Zionists is that they want to Israel. The idea is for Israel to come into its so-called original biblical state that they think that the Bible explains in a certain text, a certain way, that, in order for the end to come, for Jesus to return, for the end times and everything to happen, these certain specific things have to be put in place. And Israel has to, basically, the state of Israel has to be put in place to its original, what they consider its original state, its original land. And which includes like all the things that people in Israel, like Netanyahu and Smotrich and all them, want to happen, as far as taking land, trying to annex parts of Lebanon. They've already have annexed parts of Syria. They want to annex the West Bank, annex Gaza. I mean, I think there's even parts of Jordan that they want to try to take too. This would encompass what they consider original Israel. And when that is in place, then that will spark the end times for Jesus to come back, and all the the stuff in Revelations to happen, for Jews for those in the Jewish community to change to Christians, all right, to convert to Christianity in order to go to heaven, and all this stuff. Or in those who aren't, they're going to be perish like everybody else. I mean, it's really at its core kind of anti-Semitic when you think about it, but which is so crazy that they Jewish Zionists and Christian Zionists strive for the same thing, but for different reasons. And they really, for the reasons, they actually sort of clash with each other. They're actually anti each other to some degree. So it's crazy that, but these are that's what their idea is. They want this to happen. So these people are being put in place as ambassadors, as defense secretaries, to help rein in what they think the end time narrative and events need to happen, because they want to bring about the end times. This is the holy war they're all talking about. It's crazy. They've been trying to predict the end of time for decades now. Constantly naming dates, constantly trying to predict when Jesus is going to return and all this stuff. And since they keep getting it wrong, since they keep making these predictions, and these predictions pass and nothing happens, it's like now they want to force it to happen. They want to play God, as if they would actually say and think about anything else, that that they think God would have some sort of inherent right to rule on, as far as a law or whatever. But they don't look at it this way. In this case, they don't look at themselves actually trying to play God. They just trying to, I guess they consider themselves just helping to usher in the events, doing God's work. So this is what they want. They want to for this to come about, so that they can bring in the end times. They're playing God. There's actually almost a small part of me, and this is going to sound bad, but there's almost a small part of me that wants them to do this. Wants them to be allowed to have everything that they want. Because then I want to see their faces. I want to see how try to explain that once they have had all of this happen, all the things that they want, all the things that are supposed to usher in end times, all the things that are supposed to bring Jesus back happen, and yet nothing happens from it. I almost want them to get that and see their response, how they respond when nothing happens, and what excuses they make, or what reasoning that they come up with for it not happening. What other steps apparently they need to pull out of thin air to make it happen. Or whether they finally go, holy shit, maybe this shit just really isn't real. Could that possibly happen there? But I know that allowing them to do that, allowing all this shit to happen, is going to be detrimental to a lot of people. It's going to be deadly to a lot of people. And a lot of people are going to die and suffer because of the things that they want to happen. So, yeah, I there's a part of me that wants them to just say, if there was a way for them to have it all happen and nobody get hurt, then sure, I would think, yeah, why not let them do it that way? When shit doesn't, when Jesus doesn't come back and the end time doesn't happen, they're all sitting there twiddling their thumbs and mouths wide open, not understanding why things aren't going the way that they were said the Bible, or their translation, interpretation of the Bible led them to believe. But because I know that innocent people and are going to, suffer from this, and have suffered from this, have died because of this, I clearly want it to be stopped. I clearly want them to not get their way. I just feel like the only way for them to learn anything, the only way for them to realize their mistake or realize that they're wrong, is for them to actually get what they want. A lot of people can't see where they are wrong until the shit actually happens to them, and for them to realize, oh, I was wrong. But these are the kind of people that are being put in place. And Trump has said already, for Israel to finish the job, they do what Now, a lot of people think that Trump's going to make deals and he's going to do this and that and he's going to stop the war. But my question is, how? And if so, why are some of these people being put in place that are completely and solely like, this is their ideology? Their ideology and their reason for everything happening is for these steps to be taken, is for Israel to get what it wants, for them to press and push out. Mike Huckabee doesn't say the West Bank. He doesn't believe that the West Bank exists. He considers it Judea and Samaria. They're, from the Bible. He doesn't even consider the West Bank. He doesn't consider it as a Palestinian territory at all. Neither does he consider Gaza. He considers it all Israel. He has no concern or interest in the Palestinian people. He wants it all annexed. He wants them gone. He wants Israel to be put back in its place as they understand it from the Bible, which is a complete misunderstanding of not only what the Bible says, but a misunderstanding of history completely. I mean, Revelations is not even talking about now. Revelations is a product of its time. Palestinian people, I'm sorry. I'm sorry that this is happening to you. I'm sorry that, and apologize that I can't really do anything about it. I'm sorry that people that are in power, whether you're talking about the U.S., Israel, or any other country that is supporting this. I'm sorry that your own people don't have enough power to make substantive change or to I don't know what to say anymore about any of this. But I truly do fear for your futures. I truly do. I think that you're completely screwed. And I don't see anything that resembles some sort of positive future for you. I just don't. And I hate that. And I'm sorry. I don't know what to do. I feel like such an insignificant nobody here in a country that clearly has no morals. And I hate that. And people wonder why I don't sit here at events and stuff and uh, uh, put my hand over my heart and pull my hat off for any type of pledges to the American flag or uh, while the Star Spangled Banner is being performed or whatever. I don't. Admittedly, I stand there in internal disgust at what our country has become and what it has decided to represent. And I don't even know if saying what our country has become is really accurate, because it could be what our country's always been. In hindsight and thinking about it, I guess it really is kind of what our country's always been. Because our country's never been great. Our country could be great, but all the wrong people are in place. Nobody is in place to actually make it great. Nobody that's in power gives a fuck about America being great. Not in a moral sense, anyways. Not greatness for the world population overall, or even our, humanity overall. And I think that's the problem, is the definition of greatness when it comes to nations, especially ours. Because it feels like the definition for most when it comes to nations and part in greatness is power, like strength, military strength, the ability to control and take over and bend the wheel of anybody we want. That's apparently what people think greatness is. Ironically, that's also what I think religion teaches, at least modern religion, especially Christianity. I know this video has gone way longer than I planned, but I haven't spoken about this in a while, and maybe I'm wrong. Maybe. Maybe things will completely go a different way than I'm thinking. Maybe these people won't get their way. I but I don't see it. I hope that it doesn't go their way. But between those being put in place and the people who are already in place, especially those in Israel, I don't see any positive coming out of this. And that sucks. Anyways, we'll keep looking. I'll keep paying attention. I'm not going to stop talking about it and advocating for something better. As insignificant as my platform might be or my voice might be, I'm going to continue talking about it. And if you agree with me and if you want to also talk about it and want to bring it up and you want to discuss it and you want to scream it to the top of your lungs, then I ask you to stick with me. Let's talk about it in the comments and discuss it. Spread the word. Talk to your family, I guess, about it if you want, or friends. I do think that a lot of the things that are about to happen, though, if everything truly does go to complete shit, and we're not talking about just the Middle East, talking about a lot of stuff, it just might create the momentum, the anger, the uproar, the frustration, and just it might rise up people in a way that they have not been advocated to rise up in a long time. Trump being elected might be what actually completely breaks America down to the point that it hopefully truly can cause such an uprising and a zeitgeist movement that we might actually be able to change this country coming out of it. As long as the Trump administration doesn't try to actually put things in place to maintain itself, as a lot of people fear. Our voices might be small, but collectively, we can be pretty damn loud. And we can make ourselves heard. So, we got a fight ahead of us, I think. And we all need to be ready to step up for it. Thank you. Clear Talk. Peace. I'm out.